Hi, my name's Chloe, and for my vulnerable student population, I chose students with disabilities. So to summarize and review, students with disabilities are a part of a vulnerable population of students because there are barriers that stop them from accessing the same education as other populations. For example, barriers to their education can be affected by the lack of resources and support in the classroom. They also can face physical barriers in the classroom due to inaccessible places and lack of space, so that can be like students with wheelchairs or that need extra help getting in a lot more space. Students with disabilities are also at a higher risk of being bullied and misunderstood. Overall, students with disabilities are at risk of facing inequalities in the classroom. So the Division for Early Childhood and the National Association for the Education of Young Children released a statement that explains what it means to be inclusive in an early childhood environment. So their definition of inclusion is early childhood inclusion embodies the values, policies, and practices that support the right of every infant and young child and his or her family, regardless of ability, to participate in a broad range of activities and contexts as full members of families, communities, and society. This joint position statement also describes that access, participation, and support are crucial to creating an inclusive environment. So the one new concept idea that I learned is universal design for learning. This is a set of principles that have a goal to create a flexible learning environment that can be accommodating for students, especially those with disabilities. So the principles that are a part of this UDL is engagement, representation, action, and expression. So in early childhood settings, UDL can be designed to provide multiple ways to engage in learning and then to help the children express what they know. So it was created to reduce barriers for children with disabilities. It can also be used in all other types of learning and just for any students. This method allows children to participate together but still allows for the independence. And you can still do the independent thing by just creating methods that are tailored for each child specifically. So an example of one of these methods would be implementing a quiet and dim space for students or offering fidgets. So this can help with students that have autism or anxiety and need a space to calm down. So I chose what experience do you have working with this population, share your perspective on the most helpful resources and or policies. So I've had a couple of different experiences. When I was a senior in high school, I worked with a child that was diagnosed with autism. Currently, I work with a child that has cerebral palsy, and then I have found that schools lack the necessary resources to allow these children to reach their highest potential. In the classroom I work in now, the child with cerebral palsy cannot walk and he has some developmental delays. There are not very many alternatives to activities and lessons that he can do instead. After researching, I really do believe UDL should be implemented into the learning center I work at. Providing walkers to assist him in class could help him in being able to participate in some of the activities. They do have walkers in the rooms for the infant children, but they don't necessarily give walkers for students like this one. Providing simple sound buttons as responses can help this child to be able to respond to questions. He can't form words, but he does understand certain things that you're saying, and he does use sign language. I think teaching the child how to use voice buttons as responses can help with active participation. I also believe that communicating with the parents to learn about how their child learns best is also important. So implementing something that a parent does for their child at home into the classroom can create an inclusive space, and then it can also just allow the child to learn in the most helpful way that they can.